thank you for joining us today. I'm here to talk to you about what has become the biggest annual holiday appeal in the Brattleboro and Greater Windham County area. Project Feed the Thousands is in its 19th year. And joining us to my immediate left, this is my left hand, Lucy Fortier is the director of the Brattleboro Area Drop-In Center, and Kelly Corbeil is one of two chairs of the annual Project Feed effort and also a Drop-In Center board member. Thank you both.
Thank you.
My gosh, 19 years out, and this effort keeps getting bigger and bigger. Maybe start off by saying what Project Feed the Thousands is, who it supports, and what this year's goals are.
You want?
Either one of you. If this were basketball, it would be a jump ball.
Well, this year our goal is $100,000 and 200,000 meals. It really it reaches our low-income families, but also to our middle-income families, because we're seeing more and more of them coming into the center to use our facilities, whether it's for food or some of them are even using our washer and dryer because they just don't have the money to go to a laundromat. We're finding that with people who have lost jobs, medical issues have put them into the category that they're being hungry, where at one point they used to be donors of ours.
No question that the line certainly has fallen. The middle class is now the lower class in many respects. With that in mind, you have people like Kelly and your other co-chair, Jeff Morse, helping raise money and raise awareness. Kelly, you did a couple of different things in the last year or so since coming on board as co-chair of Project Feed the Thousands, one of which is a direct one-day business blitz. Tell me about that and why you feel it is necessary to get the businesses on board like that.
Yeah, last year we had Tim and Martha O'Connor. I asked them to step up and run a business blitz for the area, and they were more than willing and big supporters of Project Feed, so they took that on. And what it is we have one day where we get multiple people from the area that are well-known people in the area that we bring to a meeting, we educate them on Project Feed, and then they go out to area businesses and let them know, A, to get aware of it and what the need is, and B, to try to get their businesses and employees to possibly contribute to help. So what we do is we knock on all those doors, we give them a lot of information and give them a lot of options to participate, whether it be giving a cash donation, hosting a food box, hosting a cash box, possibly doing a jeans day or a potluck day with their employees or anything at all. And I always say, you know, even $10, $5, it doesn't matter. If we could get everybody to contribute something, it all helps. And it's been successful.
And the businesses have by and large responded.
They have. Last year, I would say probably the majority of the doors we knocked on responded in one way off that list.
Well, this certainly is a brand, if you can compare it to brand name recognition, that a lot of people know. A lot of people have gotten on board over the year because it's not something that you can really say no to. You want everybody to have enough to eat at all times of the year, and especially during the holiday season.
That's true. And you know, I was at a housing conference last week and I listened to the speakers talk about social programs and how they're being cut. And I find that the social programs that affect both children and seniors are the ones that seem to always be getting cut, and they're the two groups that we see more and more of at the Drop-In Center because they are hungry.
You know, this may start me in sounding like Bernie Sanders, but why are groups cutting programs for seniors and for kids?
I don't know. That always amazes me. Why are those two groups targeted every year? But our seniors started coming in August and saying to me that they were really concerned about being able to afford food and fuel this winter.
Not surprising. Energy costs have hit everybody, even working families who are trying to be able to make ends meet. You see seniors, you see families. Is there anybody that you don't see?
No, we see, I mean, it's across the board. It doesn't matter whether you were working at a bank once upon a time and now you're unemployed. It's just a variety of people that walk through our doors. And they all have a story as to why they have to use our services. The majority of them will not tell you that they're doing it because because they just want to. A lot of them come in and they're humble about having to use our programs. They really don't want to be there. They were donors at one time. I spoke to a woman recently who always donated to the Drop-In Center. Whenever church said the Drop-In Center needed this, she went out and she bought 2 and 3 things for us. And today, because of major back surgery, she has to have a Thanksgiving basket. And she said to me, I really don't want to take from somebody else, but she says, I can't afford a turkey this year. And I said to her, you know what, you're going to be back in those roles one day of being a donor all over again, so don't feel guilty.
It really is something that a lot of people don't realize, a major expense, a medical expense, or losing a job. A lot of us are just a couple of paychecks away from having some major problems.
That's very true. And I tell people that, and it's always alarming to see the look on their face when you tell them that they don't realize that they're only a few paychecks away from being in that same position.
With that in mind, how do you find the goodness in people's hearts, both of you, to come up with the necessary resources to meet goals, and do those goals actually mean that people don't go hungry year-round?
Windham County, I mean, Brattleboro has the best residents, I think. They support us no matter what we ask for. Whenever it comes to children, they are out there supporting us 100%. It really warms my heart to see that we live in a community that is as generous as they are.
And I've said before, and it's true, like I've been there where, during hard times, people come together and help you out, and I've seen it in this community. They definitely do. And so that's why, us doing this today, or, talking on TSA and sending out our letters, and the newspaper putting things in it, and just letting people be aware. People are typically in this area, they'll come together and they'll help as long as they know there's a need. So we're just trying to tell people there's a major need. I mean, 1 in 5 people is hungry.
Yep.
In Windham and Cheshire County. That's 24,000 people. That's a lot of people to feed.
And if you talk to some of the teachers around Brattleboro especially, it may surprise people to know that more than half of the school-age population is eligible for free and reduced price school lunch because of their parents' income.
That's true.
If you want a well-educated society, you need to have children ready to learn, and they can't when they're hungry. It's very scary.
And it's also amazing with Project Feed over the past couple years, we've really added schools into our food drive, and it's just quite an education for these kids to realize, and knowing about half of them actually qualify, but they're all there participating. They're in Hannaford's asking people to buy peanut butter or buy some tuna fish, and they might even be some of the kids that actually are the benefactors of it. But just to have all these kids involved and be educated and know and go back and tell their aunts, their uncles, their parents, just anything anyone can do to help, or to realize that there is help there, that we, the Drop-In Center and these other food shelves actually will help them if they come to them with a need.
And one of the stories that we hear year after year, because I have a chance, I'm very lucky to have a chance to go relate some of my own personal story, coming from a big family that didn't have a lot of money, and everybody worked 3 and 4 jobs to be able to make ends meet. Hearing kids at the middle and high school level talk about the Drop-In Center food shelf as, yeah, that's where my parents go for food. And, it is there, and if we try to ignore the fact that hunger is in our community, we're not treating everybody equally, and that's the way Brattleboro has always been. We value everybody no matter what they are, and we want to make sure that they're okay. And gosh, I mean, it's a major commitment for you at the radio station. I know, Kelly, and Lucy, you are on the front lines every day. Why the holiday season for Project Feed? I mean, just curious why you aren't banging on doors on a 365-day-a-year basis?
Well, I think at the holidays, knowing that people have a turkey or a ham on their table is important, because the drop-in center is closed on the Friday after Thanksgiving. And I always, for me, it's, well, if they have a turkey on Thursday, they're going to have enough leftovers to tide them over until the center's open again on Monday. And I anticipate when we open Monday, we are going to be super busy. But the holidays is always a special time where people always associated turkeys and big meals. And I think having Project Feed at that time of year really helps. Helps the families, you know, get through the holidays knowing that they have food.
And I'd probably add to that that also I imagine at the drop-in center, a lot of the, you know, there's school vacations, there's a lot of, where we said, you know, 50% of the kids can have breakfast and lunch. Well, you know, there's vacations during the holidays that they don't have that. And so there's a bigger need at the drop-in center and at the other food shelves at that time. And not to mention, when we do this fundraiser, it only, what we raise, which we're hoping to raise enough to provide 600,000 meals, will only get you through till about the spring, if that. I mean, because the need's bigger and bigger. But at least, you know, you don't have these hungry families and hungry kids through the holiday.
And the money that is raised, I know this year's goal is $100,000. What do you do with that?
Yep, we use that. We use the funds that we raise to help purchase and you know, provide and deliver all the food that we raise.
So Vermont Food Bank, stores, etc.
Exactly, and there's two things. One is when people donate food, it's great. There's a big need for that, no question. But the money also, when someone donates money, lots of times Lucy or the food bank can get more food for that money than you could get if you just went to the grocery store and bought a couple cans. So the money just goes a long way to being able to purchase some more food.
And so at this time of year, you go for non-perishable food items mostly?
Yes, yes, especially because a lot of folks don't get a lot of protein, so peanut butter, tuna fish are staples that you can keep on your shelf for a little bit longer than you could if it was perishable items. We do have people, like the co-op and other grocery stores, who give us perishable items, but we would prefer the non-perishable.
You know, the supplemental nutrition program that the state of Vermont runs used to be called food stamps. Now it's called 3 Squares Vermont, I understand. It's a great program, but A, it only provides part of a family's nutritional needs during a month. And secondly, there were a lot of things you can't buy with that. A lot of things you can't buy, like toilet paper, basic necessities, especially if you have a small child. Those things fall out of that. And I assume you could use some kind of those donations as well.
Oh yes, health and beauty aids, toilet paper. I mean, this summer deodorant was a hot commodity. We couldn't keep it on the shelves. I mean, we had a hot summer, so everybody and their mother wanted, even though you're homeless, you still want to smell good. So diapers are big demand for us. We've seen a lot of young mothers coming in with babies who need diapers. Diapers are expensive. So shampoos, soap, laundry soap, any of those products are in big demand.
Not surprised. When people go out and get ready to make a donation, how can they do it? Are there donation bins where they shop, etc.?
Yes, there are. There are donation bins at both Hannaford and Price Chopper. The co-op has a bin also. The co-op is good because they're right down the street from us, so they drop off a lot of their donations, so if it gets full, we don't have to worry about it. There are money boxes throughout the community that have the big red posters, so you would know it's a Project Feed box.
And of course, River Valley Credit Union is
Right.
the central collection point for all of that. Wow. Are people coming to the drop-in center more and more? Are you seeing your numbers go up?
Yes. Last year alone, we had over 19,000 visits to the food shelf. And that averaged to about a little over 60,000 bags of groceries that we gave away. That was in 2011. I won't have 2012 numbers probably until the end of the year, early part of January. But those numbers have increased since the year before, and it seems like we're on a trend where our numbers are going up and up.
Those numbers are up, but you've also changed the hours of the
Yes.
food shelf. Tell me about that and how come.
We have changed our hours. The food shop is only open on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And Mondays and Wednesdays, we run it from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. to accommodate the people who are working and couldn't get there at 5 o'clock before we closed. So having it open till 6 is really a plus for extra families that are, couldn't get in till 5:30. Fridays were open from 8:30 to 5, but the reason we did that is because there wasn't a lot of donated food from the food bank. And our dollar budget for the food was going down and down, and we just couldn't afford to stock the shelves. But there's also 2 other food pantries who have picked up the odd days. The Agape Church does it on Thursday, and the Bible Chapel is on Tuesday. So there is a food shelf that is open 5 days a week, but at the Drop-In Center, we're only 3 now.
And those locations again on Tuesday, the Community Bible Chapel on Atwood Street near Brattleboro Union High School, and Thursdays the Agape Church on Lower Canal Street in Brattleboro.
Right.
A lot of people are around the front lines, and it must get tough just seeing this, a lot of really heart-wrenching stories on a day-to-day basis. What can we do to get that kind of story in front of people at large? Is there anything that perhaps runs the same with a lot of the people you see?
Yeah, I tend to hear more people having lost their jobs. A loved one. I mean, there seems to be a lot of cancer diagnosed lately. I'm hearing more and more of that, and that really puts a family into financial distress when you have a loved one that's going through radiation or even chemotherapy. So that seems to be a story that I'm hearing, especially from your middle income. Even some of your lower income families are facing health issues.
And of course, even if you have health insurance, you can't put back the income lost or go along with the other expenses needed to maybe go to the hospital or some of the other things that go along with it.
That's very true. I know I have a few friends of mine who were diagnosed with various forms of cancer, and they've had fundraisers to help them. When you spend 3 months in the hospital and then you're going through chemotherapy and there's no income coming in because you can't work for a year or a year and a half, that really puts a big dent in your budget. And we're seeing a lot of evictions this way.
Ooh, and obviously we're in the time of year where you would hope you wouldn't see evictions, but they have to happen at some time, and
Right.
easily in the spring then. Gosh. So it really, again, I can't stress this enough, it's all dependent upon us as a community to either help or be helped, and there's no in between.
No, there isn't.
Gosh. So you've got a big committee that works on all of this on almost a year-round basis, and the push is between now and the end of the year. How can people help? How can people get on board?
Well, they can go to the website, because you can donate through the website, or you can go to one of the locations that has a food drop-off or a cash box.
And some of the places, we're going to have different events that are happening throughout this season, and just to think, even some of these places that are going to host them. For instance, the food co-op is going to host one, so there's a place you could drop either cash or food. Same with Hannaford's, there'll be a big drive there. However, they have food boxes all year long, and also during the holiday season. Price Chopper kicked us off, and they have one, and they have one the day before Thanksgiving. Walmart is participating this year, along with the Hinsdale Fire Department, and they're going to be over there this Saturday after Thanksgiving. So and I'm sure there's many more that I am not mentioning, but there's many places. Most businesses in town, lots of them will have cash boxes, and or just send a check to River Valley Credit Union in the name of Project Feed the Thousands.
You mentioned Hinsdale. Hinsdale was a big participant in the Drop-In Center food shelf, plus they also have food distribution at the welfare office.
Yes. Yes, we see quite a few residents from Hinsdale. Our population from Hinsdale has increased over the year. Probably the last year and a half, we're seeing more and more residents coming over from Hinsdale for food.
A lot of people work in Brattleboro but live in Hinsdale, and there's a lot of that commuting back and forth.
Yes, there is. And they probably hit us on their way home.
Wow. So that's probably the same case with the other pantries that are being helped out, including the one in Guilford, Deerfield Valley Food Pantry, the Townsend Food Shelf, the Chester Andover Family Center, and of course people at our place in Bellows Falls who really, I understand, have been hurting in
Yes,
this
they
past
have.
year.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I talked to Lisa not too long ago, and she was saying that she was glad that Project Feed was kicking off because they really needed the extra donations.
Wow, it really is sad that we have not done better for our neighbors, but you have the chance right now to be able to reverse that trend and do that right now with a donation to Project Feed the Thousands. This, of course, if you're thinking corporate, is tax deductible, Kelly?
I believe so, yes.
Yes.
Wow, so you could actually make a contribution, help out your neighbors, and write it off with the folks at the IRS come January. Nice idea. Project Feed the Thousands, you'll see a lot of people out and about, and really you just can't say no to having your neighbors struggling. You need to help them because you could actually be the person being helped at some point in your life, and I think that's something all of us potentially share. Kelly, just a quick historical perspective. You took over, along with Jeff Morris, a little over a year ago as co-chairs for George Haynes and Larry Smith. Interesting transition, but it seems like the organization is a lot stronger now that it's kind of grown into its second generation.
Well, I just am grateful for the opportunity, and it kind of makes sense if you think about it, because Larry started at WTSA way back on day one, and so now TSA, though TSA has obviously been involved all along, but for us to, be leading the chair here is an honor, and also for George, it was a bank that was involved in the beginning, and now we've got a bank involved again, and we're lucky enough where I have an employee that's dedicated pretty much 100% to Project Feed along with the rest of them, but one pretty much dedicated person, and Jeff has the same. So we have people that are working pretty much full time on Project Feed, and that's, it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of work. It's so worth it though, and I know Jeff, I can speak on his behalf that, both of us are happy that they asked us to do it.
Well, certainly a lot of that volunteer effort saves the cost of administering a food drive such as this, because you couldn't do that without the volunteer support.
That's true.
Yeah.
Wow. So again, Project Feed the Thousands, going on now through the end of the year or thereabouts.
Yeah, we usually go till about 12/31. Sometimes we might fall into the beginning of the following year just because of the holiday and last minute pickups, but the push is usually through 12/31.
All right. Well, both of you, thanks a lot for sharing time with us and making people aware of the problem of hunger in our community.
Can I add a couple things? Just
Please
a couple
do.
people I wanted to thank already. A huge effort of Project Feed is a big person that benefits us is CNS. I mean, it's amazing what they do, and they already actually just gave us 1 truckload so far. And a couple others just to note, and I apologize, I'm sure I'll miss many, but a couple other large ones that again is huge for us is Entergy Vermont Yankee. They always come through. I'm not sure what they're going to do yet this year, but I know they'll come through because they always do. And Leader Distribution Center through Pepsi, they are always a great donator as well. And then just, all these people, every little bit, like every dollar, every quarter, every, check, everything, it matters. It all adds up. And, there are some big guns, like I just said, but it doesn't make the goal. What makes the goal is all those little ones. They add up more than those big ones. So it's important.
A can of tuna, a can of soup, a $5 bill, a $1 bill goes a long way. Kelly Corbeil, Lucy Fortier, thank you for joining us, and thank you for everything both of you do for the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Project Feed the Thousands is underway. Get on the stick. Do what you can. This is Tim Johnson. Thank you for watching.